What's good, y'all? What's good, y'all, man? We back, man.
So
I'm
yeah,
Eli,
and I'm Eddie.
and we Game It Takes,
Thanks.
man. And we got a good one for y'all today, man. Make sure
Of
I hit that
course.
like button, subscribe. Make sure I follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, man. If y'all want to donate to the channel, the Cash App is right there.
All right, y'all. We nearing 100 on Instagram, 100 followers on Instagram, nearing 200 on TikTok. We about 20, 25 followers off from 200 on TikTok. Let's get the Facebook followers up as well, and sub up so we hit 300 on YouTube. Keep liking up the videos we got, all the videos we've been coming with. Yeah, and another thing is we also tonight, me and Eli gonna go live for. I don't know if we have a lot, but if there's WWE fans that are interested in watching stuff, watching WWE videos and live streams, we got that coming later. Our first ever WWE stream coming later. So y'all go hit that up and watch that if y'all want to tune into the Royal Rumble reaction with us. So
Right.
first up tonight, as you guys can see from the thumbnail, I'm gonna ask you
Wait,
guys.
hold up. Also, man, I know I'm having a little technical difficulty, so my camera gonna be off for the foreseeable future. Just until I get that situation handled.
Yes, sir. All right. So first up, Eli had a lot to say on this. He brung this up to my attention. I don't have a big problem with it, but we're gonna go into why Eli has a problem with it. So Eli, as the the visitors, the viewers see from the thumbnail, um, you think Joel Embiid was snubbed of the starting center role, or in this case, the starting forward role, on the All Star team? Let me know why you think that.
First off, I'm gonna just hit y'all with this video right quick, then I'm gonna go into it.
Sixers. Well, it was just unfortunate. I mean, all four of those guys deserve to be starters, but you only have three positions.
Yep.
And Joel is playing as well as any person in the game right now.
Yeah.
But it's just a numbers game. But Joel is.
So you're not mad at it?
Yeah, I'm mad at
not,
that.
Not,
I'm mad at that.
Why are you mad at it?
Because I think 5-6 years ago they took the center out of the game, and the center should always be in the game no matter what. All this backcourt and frontcourt. Joel Embiid is a center. He should be the starting center for the Eastern Conference. Period. All this two front court, three back. Nah, it ain't that.
The center is
it's
back
always
with no
been. It's
Jokic
always
and
been
him.
two guards, a small forward, power forward, and a center. The big man. The big man should be kept on that ballot, not these new rules. So I definitely have a problem. He should be.
Well, then one of those.
My point is playing that video. It's quite like Shaq's, but just a little bit more on that, bro. Uh, Joel Embiid is second in MVP voting right now, bro. His team is second in the East. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying none of those guys don't deserve to be starters, but when it comes to having a center on an all-star team, I think we're starting to shy away from that. We're just trying to fit everybody. One of those guys would have had to get sacrificed. They're practically what is it? It was Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, and Giannis. They're all considered forward, especially to me, in my opinion. One of those guys should have been sacrificed for a center to be on the All Star team. Joel Embiid, the best center in the East. You know what I'm saying? The second best center in the league. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, that's why I say what I say. I felt like he was snubbed as a starter. And he feels like he's been getting disrespected a lot. Felt like he deserved the MVP over Jokic. I'm sure that he's feeling disrespected with this. Felt like he should definitely have been the starter. One of those guys should have been sacrificed. And I'm thinking it should have been Kevin Durant because he's injured. If Kevin Durant wasn't injured, there's no question Kevin Durant should be starting. Someone else would have had to been sacrificed because Joel Embiid deserved to be an all-star starter.
You know, as Eli explained a little more, I understand and I can firmly respect what he's saying. I mean, Joel Embiid is averaging about 33, 34 points. He's second in the scoring race right now, or tied first, somewhere around that range.
Second.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's second. So he might go. Is a chance for him to go back to back with scoring titles, which haven't been done since James Harden. And I believe on the field goal percentage that Joel Embiid is doing hasn't been done since Kevin Durant. So, I mean, yeah, Joel Embiid is the second best big man in the league. He's been playing outstanding. He's probably the best three-level scoring big we have ever seen in NBA history. Actually, he is the best three-level scoring big in NBA history. And there's a lot of things he's been hooping out like amazingly. And I do agree that the All-Star spot does need a center, but that's where I think Giannis Antetokounmpo can classify as a center, because I mean he's been flipping between the roles since like 2019, power forward and center, until probably like Brook Lopez really got to actually starting most of his games. And I mean, I'm not saying Giannis has been playing better than Joel this year, or Jason Tatum and the other guys, but and I know for sure Kevin Durant deserves his spot, whether he's injured or not. He's played more games than Joel, but Jason Tatum was playing great basketball. He was in the first in the MVP for the first few weeks. But yeah, I mean, if we got to take out somebody, it might be Giannis. I've seen a little more bad games or mediocre games from Giannis than I've seen from the other three guys. So, I mean, I'm going to have to change my opinion that I had in the beginning of this. And I'm probably going to say, yeah, Joel Embiid was snubbed, and he probably should take Giannis' spot over.
Yeah, and I don't really consider Giannis a 5, just because he has the height or what have you, doesn't make you a 5. And I think that's where the NBA is trending towards. The what is considered to be a 5 is just all you have to do is just have height, and you consider or have a specific way you play. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know. I feel like Joel Embiid is probably he's the last of a dying breed, bro. But he's also a hybrid at the same time, because although he has some of those vintage traditional 5 skills, he also could shoot the ball. He also could back you down. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's a hybrid, So
he's a shooting guard at the center position. Well, he's both. He's a shooting guard and a center at the same time, because he can do things like Joel Embiid. It's times where he starts talking some BS out his mouth. Like, for me, him thinking he deserves either one MVPs over Jokic, or the fact that But I feel like he was talking some type of truth when he said he's a mix of Michael Jordan and a couple other guys in terms of play. I mean, he has a lot of athleticism, has the post game of Hakeem, MJ, and Kobe with the footwork, between.
Whoa, that's what we not gonna do. See,
Right.
that now you go crazy with
just because
just because Joel Embiid is the most skilled big man when it comes to those things you talk about doesn't mean he's comparable to those guys when it comes to those skill sets, bro.
He's comparable. He might not have it better than them or as good as them, but you can see
it's there. Yeah, I'm saying
you can see it's what I'm saying.
And he's the best at it for his position, and he's amongst the best of those things you just brought up, of course.
Yeah. But moving on from that, you want to bring up the second topic?
Oh, the second topic is, it's a lot of people been chirping and getting a lot excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of this guy too, but what we're not gonna do is disrespect the greats of the past that have played this game by calling Jason Tatum a top 5 Celtic of all time.
I've been seeing guys on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere talking about Jason Tatum. I mean, I even heard Jason Tatum was better than Larry Bird and Bill Russell as a Celtic, man. Like, I mean, come on, you guys know me. I do give credit to Bill Russell, but I do kind of leave him out the top 10 sometimes. Throw him in. Either way, he's a great of all time. He in most people's favor, he's a locked in top 10, and he's the best Celtic of all time, or at least to me, he's second to Larry Bird. So to even say Jason Tatum with 0 championships, no MVPs, is anywhere near the breath of Bill. Anywhere near the breath of Bill Russell with 11 championships and 5 MVPs and the Finals MVP award named after him is honestly disrespectful. Like, how can you sit up here and say something like that? Then compared to the last man to win 3 MVPs in a row, in which he done it in the era in which I classify when basketball became serious in the 1980s. He won 3 straight MVPs. Again, we might have another man do it, but that's for another time. Larry Bird, honestly, man, and when we hear a lot of videos about Michael Jordan being this and that, but there's a lot of videos and a lot of people talking about how dangerous Larry Bird is. Well, he used to walk people down and tell people what he was going to do next, and people still couldn't stop him. They call him the French hick from. I'm sorry if I forgot it, but they call him the French hick from Lake Sumter. I don't know. But he was a very dangerous man, and Jason Tatum is dangerous. He's a product of one of the most skilled forwards ever, and we see things evolving in Jason Tatum, but to even just start right there and saying disrespectful things like that is crazy, man. Jason Tatum is nowhere near Larry Bird or Bill Russell or even John Havlicek, Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale and other guys. He will reach those levels, but as of right now, you young guys need to chill out with the disrespect of those great Celtic players, man.
Yeah, I totally agree, bro. Jason Tatum is not even in the top 10 Celtics of all time. So I think that's blasphemy, bro. And Paul, we can bring up somebody like you just said, Paul Pierce, who he won a championship, a Finals MVP, and he's in the top 10, but he's in the latter half of the top 10. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of great guys on the Celtics. For people to think Jason Tatum is a top 10, I don't know. It's just that it's a hype train, bro. He's a really talented player. Maybe they're looking at his projection. Who knows? I don't know. But it's gonna be really hard to get into a top. You're gonna have to do a lot to get into a top 5 Celtic of all time. You need at least two chips, an MVP, something, bro. He really has no individual hardware that is considered.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
That's perfect to say.
That is considered to be great on his resume. I mean,
because
he's gonna need that.
We know the team success. We know the 3-4 ECFs in the past couple years and the finals appearance. But he just got his first All NBA. We need more. We need at least 3 to 4 more. I'm probably gonna be one of those back of my day type of dudes when I get to that age. But bro, nobody's counting that Western Conference Finals MVP neither, bro. Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Nobody's counting that. So that don't mean nothing in my book. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to do a whole lot more than that to get into the top 5 Celtic of all time, bro. That's can't say nothing about that. But moving on from that, man, I want to talk about how this man Steve Nash. So I mean, I love Steve Nash. I know Eli, he respects his game, but he knows what Steve Nash can't do. And I'm gonna tell you guys, this is gonna be a pretty brief, a pretty calm story about Steve Nash. Not really a story, but how he underachieved mostly in his career, man. I mean, his first 60-win season in 2003, he had a great team. I mean, they were a top 10 defense, and a lot of people like to shy away from the fact that they like to say Steve Nash didn't have a good defense at all, and that's why he didn't win any championships. Steve Nash is, I think, one of only 2 guys to ever have 2 MVPs and never win a championship. Him and, of course, Karl Malone, the only guys in NBA history with 2 MVPs and 0 championships. So he's part of a pretty prestigious club. So that year in 2003, he was a 60-win team, top 10 defense. He lost to the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals in 6 with a team of Nick Van Exel, Dirk Nowitzki, and Michael Finley. Something that I wouldn't call a super team, but a very, very good team at the time. Nash was supposed to show up as Dirk only played 3 games. Dirk went down, he got injured and only played 3 games. So the best player on the court ultimately was Michael Finley, which shouldn't have happened. These guys won 60 games. Steve Nash averaged, I think, 15 points or 42 field goal, which isn't good as all, which it is not good at all. That's something that he had to work on, and they come back the next year and only win 50 games. And he played even worse. I mean, they lost in the first round to Sacramento Kings. And what's embarrassing about this, that in the year 2004, this is the 2004-05 season, Eli. So this is the Sacramento Kings' last playoff win. So Steve Nash has the what is that called? He has the, I don't know how to say this, but he's the last player. He's a part of the team of being one of the last players to actually lose to the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs. I mean, they looking good this year. If they go to the playoffs and they win this year, that would be, of course, but he's the last team to lose to the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs. He's a part of the last team. And this year he put up 14 off 38% in the playoffs against those guys and got outplayed by Mike Bibby, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Bibby averaged 24 points, 5 assists with 2 steals of 48, 52, 87 87 splits. And I mean, how do you get played by Mike Bibby and you're one of the best, you're supposedly one of the best point guards in the league, leading some of the best offenses of all time, and you get outplayed by Mike Bibby? So obviously we know the next year he goes on to the Phoenix Suns, and a lot of people like to give him a lot of credit on the fact where they went from a 24-win team to a 62-win team. But you know, with all the roster changes being made, the year before they had Penny Hardaway and Stephon Marbury, which was to me a bad mix because you got two guards at the point guard and the shooting guard. So they got rid of those guys. They switched up the roster around a little bit. So the Phoenix Suns were already projected to win 59 games with the addition of him, you know, and all the newer guys that came in that year. So it wasn't just only him that took them guys from a 24-win team to a 62-win team. So let's get that. In fact, I mean, with a team of Quentin Richardson, Leonardo Barbosa, who was a rookie that year, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, who put up, as a duo, 45 points, 20 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks as a duo just between them two. I feel like one of the most underrated duos in the 2000s era. I would more so take them. I would think in the last 20, 30 years, they're a better duo than Ayton and Booker. I mean, those guys were, you know, you got to watch those guys to actually, you know, see how good Stoudemire and Sean Marion was. And, you know, they, like I said, they end up winning 62 games and they go into the WCF. And, man, this right here, if you watch the highlights of the series, this was a very good series. They end up losing to the Spurs. Once again, Steve Nash loses to the Spurs in the WCF. And, I mean, once again, Steve Nash isn't the best player, not only on his team, but not on the court, as well as a 22-year-old Amari Stoudemire averaged 37 points and 10 rebounds on Tim Duncan, as he was the best player not only on his team but on the court. So this is again.
What year is this?
This is 2004, 2005.
Oh, all right.
In the Western Conference Finals. Once again, Steve Nash isn't the best player not only on the court but not on his team. As like I said, Amari Stoudemire, 37 points, 10 rebounds at 22 years old on Tim Duncan, who was the second in MVP that year and last year's MVP. So this guy at 22 years old was hooping and obviously the best player on his team. So he goes down in 2005 and 06 and only plays 3 games and missed the playoffs. But this is where, you know, Sean Marion steps up and he ends up averaging the most rebounds, points, steals, and blocks for the Suns, and being, I believe, top 10 in MVP voting, with Steve Nash winning his second straight MVP. Obviously, you know, these guys were looking good. They won 54 games this year. They're still looking like a good team. And again, Steve Nash wasn't the best player on his court because Boris Diaw, who they picked up because they knew Stoudemire got injured from last year. They picked Boris Diaw at 23 years old, was the best player on the court, man. And I can't believe he was the best player on the court because Steve Nash, again, was an MVP. And yet again, someone else looks better than Steve Nash on the court. So he's the third best player on the court because, again, this time they lose to the Dallas Mavericks. And, of course, Dirk Nowitzki looking like the best player on the court. And like I said, Boris Diaw at 23 years old outplayed Steve Nash, having a better series, putting up 24 points and 8 rebounds in this year. And I mean, come on, Steve Nash. Like, how many times someone is going to outplay you on your team? And you're supposed to be the best player in the league. You're the 2-time MVP, bro. At this point, you done beat out LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, and a bunch of other guys. And yet again, you're not the best player on the court. Man, and then now this is the final year I'm gonna go through.
Oh, let me get this one, bro. The final year, bro, is like 3 years in a row. It's like you fail to get your team over the hump. You're a 2-time reigning, defending MVP. You can't get your team over the hump, bro. It's like at this point, and I hate to do this, but I'm gonna do it, bro. It's like at this point, I gotta keep the same energy, bro, because I give James Harden a lot of flack for this, bro. But it's James Harden was doing better than you, bro. Like, this is unacceptable. It's really unacceptable. In the following season, after coming off those completely disgusting seasons that he had, not regular season, but in the playoffs that he had, he goes in the playoffs. No. First off, they won 55 games. So we got to get that out the way, just to let you know how bad this is. They won 55 games, which is great. That's a great season, bro. That's a really great season, right? 55 games, lost 27 games. Nash was averaging 17 points and 11 assists per game. And then when the playoffs came, it's like he completely regressed, bro. Like, when the playoffs come around, you're supposed to progress, bro. We see LeBron James, when the player comes around, he progresses. Michael Jordan, he progresses. You know, I'm not saying he's in the category with those guys, but when you win 2 MVPs, you're placed in a category whereby, bro, greatness is expected from you, bro.
It's one thing to win one. It's one thing
Right.
to
So
win
you
one.
average 17 points and 11 assists per game. When the playoffs come, bro, you go to 16 points, bro, and 8 assists. Okay, it's not a major fall off, but you're supposed to progress. And then you get bounced in the first round.
First
4-0,
round.
swept by the Spurs, bro.
Like
You
once
get
again,
swept, bro.
once again,
And there's
the
no
Spurs.
excuse. You know what I'm saying? There's no major injuries to your team. There's no
He
nothing.
finally
You know
got
what I'm
everyone
saying?
back. He finally got everyone back.
Exactly. Yeah, 155 games. So what is the excuse? It's no excuse, bro. You're supposed to be the reason. You're the main reason why your team was running as fluid as it is. You're the point guard of the team. You made
And
things run smoothly, bro.
and also Leonardo Barbosa was the sixth man of the year. So
Leandro.
yeah. On top of that, they had the best bench player, Sean Marion, one of the best forwards in the league, Boris Diaw, one of the best forwards in the league, and Amari Stoudemire is back and healthy, one of the best big men in the league. So he has one of the and the number one offense. So and they have the 13th best defense in the league. So they have probably one of the best teams in the league all around this year. And like you said, gentlemen swept to the Spurs, man. And again, Eli wasn't the best player.
No. He didn't win. No, it was a straight sweep.
Oh, straight sweep. And again, wasn't the best player on the court for his team. Again, Amari Stoudemire was the best player on the court during this series in the first round. And it's like, this is just it's a consistent rerun. It's not like Steve Nash was playing terrible during these rounds, you know? But it's like you're supposed, like Eli said, you're supposed to progress. You're supposed to get better once the playoffs come. That's the point of it. You're supposed to get better. And he just didn't really get better. He didn't really take over. And as the MVP of your team, you're supposed to be the best player on the court. I mean, we see it. We've seen it with a couple other guys. But what did they do? They came back the next season and were stronger. LeBron James, he didn't win the MVP in 2011, but in the finals, right? He regressed. But what did he do the next year? He gave us one of the best player performances that year against the Celtics. Game 6, 46 point double-double. And what did he do? Go on to win a championship. And what did he do again? Go on to win another championship. So when we see stuff like that, we want progression. You know, if you're going to regress, we want progression. And we sat here and named 4 or 5 playoff runs by Steve Nash. 2 or 3 of them were Western Conference appearances. The other 2 were first to second round. And again, he lost after loss after loss. In 2006, the 45-win Lakers to the Steve Nash Suns were 55. He was the MVP of the league in 2006. Some people thought Kobe deserved it over him. What happened? They went to 7 with a team who was the 29th worst defense, and I believe only the 9th or 10th best offense in the league. Kobe Bryant, Smush Parker, a couple other scrubs, and Lamar Odom versus Steve Nash Suns, bro. And they went to 7 games, bro. They went down 3-1. Okay, you know, like we said about LeBron James, you don't get all this credit for coming back down 3-1 when you shouldn't have been down there in the first place. You're the MVP. You know, it was one thing with LeBron. He didn't win the MVP that year. Steve Nash, you were the MVP, and you let Kobe Bryant and a couple scrubs go up 3-1 on you in 2006. Then the next year, like you said, he loses once again to the Spurs, man. This man, Tim Duncan, had his number damn near all his career. The 2000s, Tim Duncan is 3-4-0 against this man in the playoffs. It's like you couldn't do nothing. And it's not to take anything away from any player who played on the Spurs, but I mean, let's look at the line, going down the line of Tim Duncan's best player through those times to Steve Nash's. Okay, we got Tim Duncan, Bruce Bowen, a young Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. Okay, that's a good team. I won't sit here and lie. But then when we look at the Suns, Sean Marion in his prime, who was one of the best all-around players in the league, Boris Diaw, Leonardo Barbosa, Amari Stoudemire. He had Joe Johnson at one point. All these guys he had through these times, and he couldn't beat Tim Duncan. The only separation from him was that Tim Duncan was a leader on both of his ends. He was a leader on offense, even though he wasn't a great, like the best offensive player, but he was still good. He was still giving you 20 with a double-double. And he regressed on offense to get better on defense for his team. That's what leaders do. Steve Nash could only lead on the offensive end. He couldn't even lead on the defensive end. We've seen point guards who might have not been the best defender in their day, but at least they will attempt. Steve Nash did not attempt on defense, and that's why, which led to him being a bad coach on the defensive end. We know how brilliant Steve Nash is on the offensive end. Eli brought it up multiple times. But when it comes to defense, Steve Nash couldn't do anything for the Nets. Look at what they're doing currently, man. I mean, if you couldn't do it as a player, you damn near couldn't do it as a coach. And that's why the Nets got rid of him, because he couldn't do it. So that's why Eli always gave him that. That's why he could never cut him loose because Steve Nash. Now look at the Nets. They went from being one of the worst defenses to a top 15 defense in the league. I believe they're 10, 11 right now. So
Yep.
come on, man. Like Steve Nash, you underachieved throughout your career, especially as a 2-time MVP. At least Carmelo got to 2 finals, back-to-back finals. He had he was so unlucky that he had to play against the greatest player of all time. I mean, Tim Duncan is, of course, one of the greatest players of all time. But when you had the chance, when it wasn't Tim Duncan against Dirk Nowitzki, against the team that you were on, that you couldn't get past when Dirk went down, you couldn't get you couldn't get to the finals. You lost to them with their team being lesser than what you had. You know, like
Something about them players that's under the tutelage of Mike D'Antoni. Just something about them, bro.
Man, that's
about them.
Topic for another day. That's very crazy that you bring that up. I just realized that. But yeah, especially when you had and in that last series, like I said, Boris Diaw was a better player than him. And not only was he not only the second best player or even the third best player on the court, he was the 4th best player on the court and the 3rd best player on his team. As Shawn Marion averaged 16 points, 11 rebounds with 2 blocks. Like, come on, man. You got Steve Nash. You had to do better in your career for me to classify you as, a top 5 point guard, and you should be there. You have 2 MVPs. The only other 2 point guards with 2 or more MVPs are Steph Curry and Magic Johnson, and we know where those guys rank at. They're locked in top 3. Magic Johnson is undisputedly the greatest point guard of all time. So, and Steve Nash, you have 2 MVPs, but you're not even in the top 5 range. You're somewhere through the 6 through 8 range. So, like, that just lets you know, man, you haven't led a team to the finals, unlike the other 2 guys, and you never led a team to a great defense ever, even though those other 2 guys weren't very good defenders. You know, Steph and Magic have never been known to be really good defenders or great defenders, but they've known to lead some defensive teams and actually attempt to play defense and win championship with good defensive teams. Of course, they had some good defenders on their end, but so did Steve Nash. Shawn Marion is a very good defender. He's been underrated his whole career. I mean, you know, it's crazy that 2 seasons after leaving, or a season after leaving Steve Nash, Shawn Marion goes and plays with one of the best defenses in the 2010s and wins a championship with them 1 or 2 seasons after. Ain't it crazy, Eli?
Yeah, sure.
That's all I really got to say about this.
Let me say this, bro. When you're a great player and greatness is expected of you, bro, it's crazy how he finished out his career and wasn't able to get to what can I say? No, not even that. It's crazy that he finished out his career and wasn't able to erase the major stains he had on it, or at least improve on that. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't happen for him for whatever reason, bro. And it's a lot of players like this who their game in the regular season is fantastic, but it just doesn't translate to the playoffs. It's a lot of players like that. This is why I don't get overly excited about what guys are doing in the regular season, because once that playoff atmosphere kicks in, once there's the stakes are high, bro. Once that stipulation goes into it, bro, there's different people turn into different beasts on the court, bro. The game becomes different, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't ready for it, clearly, bro.
Yeah.
Clearly wasn't ready for it. And year after year, it was destroying him, bro. Until, you know, this is what it's become. This is what he's looked at now. A guy who people feel like doesn't deserve 2 MVPs, bro. Maybe if you went out there and showed us what you really, really made of in the playoffs, no one will ever question your 2 MVPs you won. Maybe. Yeah. Or they'll question it to a lesser degree. But because you have these stains in your career, bro, you will never be what you were supposed to be. What it was panned out for you, what it would look like you would pan out to be, bro.
Yeah, and what I'm gonna close on is the fact that I named 5 series, and in 2 of them, he played terrible. So he underperformed terribly in 2 series, and you know that's a 40% chance of him, performing terrible. This was 5 straight years, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, 5 straight years. So, and 2 of them he performed terrible. The other 3 he played good, but he just didn't play to the MVP standards that he should have. You know, I mean, he won 2 straight, and in the 3rd year he was going into being that, you know, he was the reigning MVP. So he should have just performed better. You know, yeah, he was given stuff like 20 and 10 and 20 and 11, but it should have been more during those rounds. It should have been at least 26, 27 points, or maybe 30, because again, he's one of the most efficient scorers of all time, not on the volume level, but he's still one of the most efficient. We should have got more. You know, he should have shot the ball more. I mean, what do you expect? like all the time is going to be passing there. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to take matters into your own hands, and that's what separates him from certain other two-time MVPs or players with more than 2 MVPs. You know, the fact that he wasn't aggressive enough to take matters into his own hands and score. But that's really all we probably got to say about it, man. Steve Nash, you underachieved throughout your career, and you should have. I know you wish you can, like Eli said, take away the stains in your career. But now, you know, I went on some of the guys in my generation this earlier, you know, with the Jason Tatum whole thing. I want to go at you old heads a little bit, man, because I really don't appreciate the fact that you guys sit up here and it's a lot of you Jordan fans as well. You guys sit up here and talk all this crap about LeBron starting super teams when it's simply false, man. I'm really tired of hearing it because before the first super team came in the 80s, in which was the Showtime Lakers. I mean, you guys gave this team a nickname, bro. How many teams do we actually give a nickname? I mean, coming into the league, Norm Nixon was probably the best point guard before Magic Johnson got into the league. Between the 76 through 80 range, Norm Nixon was the best point guard in the league. He was the highest paid point guard in the league. He was looked at as, you know, one of those guys. He was averaging about 17 and 8 and 17 and 9 throughout those times. What a point guard should be averaging. So you add Magic Johnson on top of the fact, then the greatest player of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was noticed as the greatest player while he was playing. Then you add AC Green and all these other guys, Michael Cooper and who's the last player? And all these other guys to that team. And you guys telling me that's not a super team? Magic Johnson, a superstar, the greatest point guard of all time, who was probably by far the greatest point guard of all time until Steph Curry, you know, stepped up to the 2 range, or Isaiah Thomas stepped up there, and Oscar Robertson, which was after. So he surpassed Oscar probably after a few seasons. So Magic Johnson is there. Then you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the greatest big man of all time / the greatest player. Those were the 2 greatest players of all time before LeBron James and Michael Jordan. I want you guys to know that. And they played on the same team, dominating teams. And you guys want to tell me that they're not a super team? You guys really sit up here and say a whole 30 years later, Kevin Durant and LeBron James are responsible for super teams? I really don't believe the what you old guys try to do and try to say and try to downplay our era sometimes. I can't just respect that. Like I said, all these
and then
guys
try to ignore that those guys didn't try to join up with each other. Oh, yeah. They ain't trying to join
it's
up.
Because there was no social media. That's really why they do that. It was no social media. And then they get James Worthy a few years later in the draft with Michael Jordan. So like you guys put 3 Finals MVP on one team and really expect to not hear the fact that you guys are a super team, and you think we just gonna let that go by? And that's not even the only super team I got up on here on my list, because moving on from that, I have Julius Erving, Dr. J, and his 76ers. What really gets me mad and gets me really tight is the fact that this man, Julius Randle, had the nerve. You know, at least Magic didn't say anything about this situation. Or Kareem. Julius Erving had the absolute nerve to say LeBron James started super teams, and that's why he's not the greatest player of all time or one of the greatest players of all time. And he has, I think he said, he has himself and Larry Bird as the best small forwards of all time. And he had the nerve to say that. Julius Erving, okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know, you know, at this time, this was probably as worse as the whole Kevin Durant thing, because the 76ers, they had 360 win seasons before Moses Malone. They had 1 or 2 championships, and Moses Malone's, they still ended up recruiting Moses Malone's after winning 1 or 2 championships, having 360 win seasons with Bobby Jones, Maurice Cheeks, who's one of the greatest defenders of all time. Then added Moses Malone to that, and then Charles Barkley
was drafted
3 years
5th
after
overall.
You said what?
Charles Barkley drafted 5th overall for them.
With those guys, then they go on to win another championship, and Moses Malone is a 2-time MVP. And Julius Randle was, I said Julius Randle. Julius Erving was probably the most dominant player in ABA history. So you put all that together with Bobby Jones, Maurice Cheeks, like, what the hell? 2 MVPs you guys put on the same team, 2 champions. And you telling me Julius Erving had the nerve to sit up here and say, he had the nerve to sit up here and say that LeBron James started the super team era. and that's why he can't respect his game. Are you serious, bro? You had
And it don't stop there. Since y'all want to say that this era, oh, they want to make super teams. It don't stop there, bro.
it don't.
Because shortly after that super team came another one.
There you
You
go.
want me to
In
go
the
into, or
East,
you want to
you
get
could
into
do
it?
it.
All right,
I mean,
I'm
I've
get
been
into it.
talking all this shit. You could do it. You got it. It was also in the East. Go ahead, tell them. Let them know.
They had Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, and Kevin McHale, bro. That's
Cedric
probably
Maxwell as well. Finals MVP. Come on,
that's
man.
probably right there. That's
Come on,
that
man.
I ain't gonna lie. That's one of the greatest super teams of all time, bro.
Come on,
And you know
man.
what I'm saying? Do you think it was better than the Lakers? Do you think they were better than the Lakers though?
I mean, and then you
As a
add
super team?
Bill, even though he was a little older and with the injury, Bill Walton was still useful as a defensive player. I mean, when you think about it, you might as well throw him in. There's a possibility you can say they were better, especially on the fact that they had drafted someone who was known to be better. He was gonna be better than Michael Jordan. They claim. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Rest in peace.
Len Bias.
Len Bias. He died in a car accident.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was something with drugs, but we're not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for saying the wrong thing, but yeah, man, Eli, what you think? Do you think they were worse? I mean, it's a possibility, to be honest. I mean, damn.
Nah,
Man,
if I look at it,
you
that's
old
tough.
guys, man.
Toss-up.
I just can't.
Sure.
Yo, and I have one more team who was also in the East during this time that a lot of guys might not agree with, Eli. I don't know if you're gonna agree with this. You know, you might not. You know, but I'm gonna get into it after we finish a little bit talking on the Celtics. You guys gotta stop, man, because that Celtics team and the Lakers team, man, like, well, all three of these teams, to be honest, because I mean, how many Finals MVPs we done put together? I mean, okay, we had 3 in LA, we had 3 on the Celtics, and then we have 2, and then we have 2 in Philly, and then 3 MVPs altogether. You guys put 3 MVPs together to go along with, probably at the time, along with Sidney Moncrief, who's probably still, Maurice Cheeks is probably still one of the greatest point guard defenders of all time, next to Gary Payton and Sidney Moncrief. You put that together with Bobby Jones, who's a couple-time All-Star, Daryl Dawkins, and then like we said, Charles Barkley, man. And then we go on to the Celtics: Cedric Maxwell, Finals MVP; Kevin McHale, Finals MVP; Robert Parrish, who was an all-time legend, and then Larry Bird. I mean, these guys won a championship in their second year. The Lakers won a championship, and Magic won a championship in his first year. Larry won a championship in his second year. Then the Philly won it in their third, in the third year of those guys' year. So, right, like, come on, you old guys got to really sit up here and stop the BS, man. You guys can't put all the blame on us on super teams because y'all old asses ain't have no social media and it wasn't reported.
Hey, man, be respectful, man, to the elders, man.
You right. I'm sorry.
Man.
You know, I ain't disrespectful. That's not what I'm about. I'm not disrespectful. You know, I'm sorry, y'all. But y'all gotta really sit up here and stop giving us all this blame, bro. When y'all really started this. The last team I will talk about, man, is the Detroit Pistons during this time. I mean, you guys wanted Michael Jordan to beat this team along with Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, Adrian Dantley, who is one of the most efficient scorers of all time, Vinnie Johnson, and John Sally. They had 2 60-win seasons. They won two championships and were in the finals 4 times. And you guys wanted Michael Jordan to beat this team with Charles Oakley and a rookie Scottie Pippen. In my personal opinion, this is a super team because not only are they one of the greatest defensive team, they were the greatest defensive team in the league and one of the greatest defenses of all time, but they had offensive weapons in Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. Come on, man. Joe Dumars is one of the first 3-and-D players in NBA history. So these guys had all this power and expected not to beat someone like Michael Jordan in there or be one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they're beating the Lakers and they're beating the Celtics over and over. And you telling me you can argue the fact that these guys were a super team with all these players on this league, all these notable players, and all the pain they were putting in? Like, I really can't understand. I just named 4 super teams through the 80s, and you guys really give us all this slack. I really can't believe it. And we could probably only name 2 or 3 super teams through the 2010s. Like, and it's probably only 2 for sure teams that most people can name. So, and I just named 4. And I don't think none of those teams that we can name in the 2010s had 3 MVPs on them or 3 Finals MVPs. I mean, the Warriors, they only had one fight. They had two MVPs, and Kevin Durant was the Finals MVP, of course. I mean, and the Miami Heat had two Finals MVPs, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. But aside from that,
They had two MVPs in the Defensive Player of the Year. Don't forget that.
bro,
That's
of
correct.
course. But I'm talking in terms of I'm talking about the MVPs and the Finals MVPs. I'm saying we know why.
No, but that goes into it though, because you did mention defense and offense for the Pistons.
All right. I mean, yeah, for that too. I mean, Dennis Rodman was a two-time Defensive Player of the Year there, so that's that. Then Isaiah Thomas was consistently in the MVP conversation. Joe Dumars was always in the All-NBA defensive and All-NBA selection. So, I mean, Hugo has just got to stop this. I said that this is the 4th or 5th time I'm saying this again, but come on, man. You guys started this. You guys have to accept the fact that you guys started this. There's not even any more super teams in the NBA. You guys got what you wanted. There's no more. You guys like to claim we ruined basketball. The younger guys in our generation ruined basketball. But no, you guys, we just capitalized off what you guys started. Just like how the talents got better. We capitalized off what the younger guys capitalized of what they see from the older guys. They just got better. That's really all I got to say. Eli, you could, add your last couple comments on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's always gonna be that stigma of, oh, this generation created this and this and that. And one day we gonna be them same old niggas talking about how, back in my day it was like this and this and that. But and the sad reality is, people that watched back in the day, bro, they're gonna cap for their era and stuff like that.
True.
They're gonna say, yeah, they were super teams wasn't invented. You know what I'm saying? Back then, these guys ain't squad up and try to link up to win championships. Well, that is absolutely untrue, bro. You know what I'm saying? In this era of the social media, I think where LeBron James announced that he was in, it was a whole national televised thing going on where he was announcing that he's going to a team. I think that kind of pissed people and rubbed people off the wrong way. And now they're trying to say, oh, how he linked up and he called up his friends and they wanted to build a monster to win a championship. I just think social media has made it believable that this era created super teams when, like I said, it's untrue, bro. When there's been numerous super teams, bro. Numerous forces of super teams way back in the day before LeBron ever did that. Why are we saying LeBron created a super team when a year prior or 2 years prior to that, a super team was already invented, bro?
That's
so what
true.
are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, people gonna spin the narrative that they want to spin, bro. LeBron ain't create no super team, bro. I think this era may have the most dominant super teams, you know what I'm saying? As far as talent may go. But not, as far as talent, but not as far as accomplishment.
For sure. I mean,
but
we definitely do have the most dominant, but in terms of if we add in, there was definitely more back then, is what I'm trying to say. We definitely do have the most dominant in the Golden State Warriors in 2017, but in terms of having the most, it got to go to the 80s and stuff, especially, come on, but it's like the only reason why Magic, I mean, okay, they drafted Magic, so we get that. And they, Kareem was already there. But applying those two together it's like, I don't know, maybe because it was more super teams during that time. If it was like, you see how the Warriors were like, really, I mean, you could argue the 2017 Cavs as well, but they were more stacked, So, but if they were really the only two teams in the league that were that good. We knew it was going to be the Cavs versus the Warriors. In the NBA during the 80s, there were so many like super teams that you wouldn't really know. Like I said, it was 3, 4, 5 teams during that time. So it was really hard to determine who was going to the finals. Now, let's just say you had the Lakers during that time as the only super team. I mean, we'll probably be still calling Magic Johnson or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar the greatest players of all time because they'll probably have about 10 rings, to be honest. They probably would have lost those championships with all those link-ups going on. Like, think about it. Magic and Kareem just don't sound fair. It sounds fair when you add a team like Larry Bird mixed with Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, and all these other guys, and then, Julius Erving with Dr. J with Moses Malone and Barkley and all these other guys. It sounds fair with that. But if you take away Moses Malone and you just put, just like that year in which the first year of Magic's career in which they beat the 76ers in the finals without Moses Malone, they beat them in 6. So, as a rookie. So that's how during that time, if it was just that one super team, it would have gotten worse, just like how it was during our time. It would have been all this talk about, oh, that wasn't fair, this and that, just like how it is now.
Well, what we got next? That's about it.
That's pretty about it. I have one more, but I did forget.
Well, look, let me say this. Let me say this, bro. Let me just say this right quick, bro. Look, we need y'all to be hitting this like button, man, and subscribing, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do our best to ensure that y'all have content as much as possible, bro.
Hold on, Eli. I remember what was the last thing we were supposed to talk about. Them boys in LA, and I ain't talking about the Lakers.
Oh
that
yeah,
was the
that's
last
what.
thing we
Yep.
talked about. You can go ahead because I know this was something you was a little excited to talk about, so you go ahead and talk about that. I'll add on.
I feel like the Clippers, right? They may not have been, my prediction for them may not have been exactly spot on, bro. But I think they're doing this. They're really trying to do something real slick, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get into that. But my prediction for them was that they'll be a serious threat in the Western Conference. I still believe that because, like I told you, the Western Conference is open season out in the Western Conference. There's no one team that you could say definitively, oh yeah, they're gonna win the title or they're gonna make it out the West. Even though Jokic has his team in a very comfortable spot, there still isn't any definitive team where you're saying in the West, oh yeah, they're gonna make it out the West or they're gonna win a championship. And I think that's what's very unique about this season. But with the Clippers, I thought they were going to be, you know, far and none one of the best teams in the West. They haven't really been that. They've been in contention, but they're hanging right inside out, you know what I'm saying, of contention. They're right there. You know what I'm saying? On one night or maybe 2 nights, they could be in contention. The next night, oh, they're out of contention by a couple games. You know what I'm saying? But what I will say is I thought that they were going to be a top team in the West, and they're not. So from that standpoint, Kawhi's not playing much games. Paul George's not playing much games. They play when they want to. Kawhi's a guy who's, you know, at this point prided himself on keeping himself healthy up until the postseason, right? So I think he's trying to do that, and he's doing it even to a more harsher degree, playing a lot less games than he did in previous seasons, right? So I think the strategy for them, what they're trying to do, they're trying to play as much games as possible just to squeeze into the playoffs. And then once they get in a situation where they got to play a team like the Nuggets or Memphis, you know what I'm saying? And those, because I think they're probably going to be a 7th or 8th seed, the Clippers, bro. You know what I'm saying? So if they get in a situation where they could play one of those teams, bro, you're not telling me it's not a really good chance the Clippers could win, bro. I think they're trying to rock one of those teams to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I really don't think it's a good strategy. I'm not saying it's the best strategy. I'm not saying they will win, but that is a dangerous matchup for any one of those teams, the Nuggets or the
Grizzlies,
the Memphis Grizzlies. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really watching out for the Clippers.
Listen.
I'm not counting them out at all. I'm really not, bro. They're
no.
gonna be a shit.
Like I think everyone can firmly agree the fact that you can't count the Clippers out, especially when we know who Kawhi is once he get in them playoffs. I mean, we know for a fact. And when PG and Kawhi are playing, they're very good in the regular season when they're playing. You know, they're playing good basketball. But then again, that's the problem when they're not. And shout out to Norman Powell as well, because he's picking up his weight as being the best player on the court when those two guys are not. So with Zubac, he's doing his thing. But it would be very hard to determine. I mean, if I'm the Clippers, I'm trying to aim for that 6th seed, because if the playoffs were to start today, I believe they are 6th seed or 7th seed right now. I would want to play the Sacramento Kings in the first round, at least something easier to get off. But if not, the 7th seed or the 8th seed is a good spot for either one, because if they play the Memphis Grizzlies, we know them boys in over their head. They on like a 4-game losing streak to some of the worst teams in the league, the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and a few other trash teams. And then the 8th seed Nuggets. Okay, so now we know how good Jokic is. He's looking like he's going 3 in a row. And he's been playing good in the playoffs that he did make. But now would be a time where, okay, he's been putting in all this work, and we see a choke job from the MVP. I'm not thinking less of it, because I've seen it. I've seen, like, guys, you know, he has to at least give us one bad playoff series. I know. Then with the fact that, yeah, they're looking great. They have the 2nd best offense, the 3rd best offense of all time, or the 2nd best, somewhere around there. But that doesn't shy away from the fact that something bad is bound to happen, especially being the fact that he hasn't gone nowhere the last two seasons. He went to the 2nd round 2 seasons ago, then he didn't make it past the 1st round the year before. So with him playing very good, so something has to happen to the Nuggets that people might not like. Then, like I said with the Grizzlies, we don't know if they're ready. We really don't. Last year they wasn't. This year they're losing to teams that they shouldn't be losing to. 0-2 against the Warriors this year. Like a lot. There's just so much you can determine on, and the fact that the Nuggets, they don't have anyone to throw at Kawhi Leonard. That might be a 30-piece, 35-piece in the first round. I mean, his last playoffs, like I said, averaged 30 throughout it. Then the playoffs before that, he averaged about 28. Then the playoffs before that, he won a championship and averaged 30 throughout the playoffs and averaged 30 on the Golden State Warriors in the finals, and had one of the best offensive playoff runs in NBA history. I think the fourth highest points scored in a playoff run with like 619. So we know what Kawhi can do. But the main problem for these guys might be Paul George. I mean, Paul George in his last playoff run was pretty good. Even in his last playing game was pretty good. But Paul George might not be that inconsistent in the playoffs. So especially not as consistent as Kawhi Leonard. So we need something out of those guys to fully determine on whether if they're gonna go anywhere. So that's probably
chemistry too as well. You know what I'm saying? But they have shown that they've shown glimpses of it. You know what I'm saying? And if they could just keep the wheels on long enough for them to win the series against one of those teams, bro, I wouldn't be surprised, bro. I really wouldn't, bro. It's just all about them getting into the playoffs, bro. And I think that's their main goal, bro. They're not really focused on regular season. And that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself, bro. You know, I really don't like that strategy, but it is what it is, bro. You know, it worked out for Kawhi, you know, until it didn't. What was it, in 2020, 2021, where he was in the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah,
that
they
whole
went
strategy
without
of
him.
load management, and you know, until it didn't work out, bro. He ended up tearing his ACL, partially tearing it, or what have you. But I really don't know.
Which could have honestly been maybe like we always say, ifs, ands, and shit like that. But it could have possibly been a championship for them, or at least we got robbed of one of the greatest final matchups of all time, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks versus, the Clippers with Kawhi and PG, or even the Clippers against the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets in the finals, man. Because how many times we done got robbed out of seeing KD versus Kawhi in the finals? We got that was our second time. We would have loved to see it. Actually, the third time, because it was supposed. Well, never mind. Yeah, it was the second because that was WCF. But like we were supposed to see that, But things happen. Guys get injured. But like we said, we hope we can see some very good basketball this year because basketball has been boring us. Of course, we tune in for you guys. We gotta give y'all some facts and some of the best basketball news ever. So, but it's really, really boring us. It's been boring us the past few weeks, past 1 or 2 months actually.
Yeah, every other man, I ain't gonna say it. We gonna save that for another time.
It's like,
well.
Yeah, we're gonna save that for another time. It's like, we do appreciate what these guys can do on the court, but it's like we also are big fans of defense, bro. Everything don't got to be offense. We love the defense on the court, and we're just not seeing much of that. That's what's boring us. Some people, love offense, and they, they're loving what they're seeing. But it's like
what happened to them gritty games where it's a minute left and it's 90-90, you know what I'm saying? Really low scoring games, bro, and it's down to the last shot. What happened to games like that, bro? You really seeing that, bro. And the last time you really seen that in the playoff atmosphere, the really last time was probably Game 7 of 2016, bro. You know what I'm saying? It was really really, really tough, really gritty, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need that basketball back for real, bro.
I mean, there was a couple, signs in the 2021 finals, but then again, it was just too easy for Giannis because it's DeAndre Ayton. So, like, it's always something, something starts off good and then it just ends up being this is an offensive controlled game. And we hope this finals could be something. We throw a defensive team in there, but it's not looking like it because no team is really playing stellar defense. I mean, like I said, 10 years ago, the lowest defensive rating was 99.8. Today, it's 109.8.
Damn.
A whole 10-point difference, and we have 30 games left to play. It's like, come on.
I don't want to say the NBA is getting worse, but it just is what it is, bro. You know what I'm saying? The game is evolving in a way where it's just not gonna be the way we are used to it being. You know, it's just gonna happen in sports, bro. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, man, like I said earlier, y'all keep hitting this like button, man. We gonna try to keep giving y'all this content, man. You know what I'm saying? As much as possible, bro. As long as y'all keep hitting the like button and keep supporting us, man. Keep supporting us, bro. You know, make us want to get up and do this for y'all. You know what I'm saying? We gonna want to get up and do it for y'all anyway. But just keep hitting the like button and supporting, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not going anywhere, man. We don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 viewers in here, man. We don't care if it's no viewers in.
As long as you
We love
show
to do this
support.
shit, man.
As long as you
As long as y'all showing support, man, we gonna get to the top, man. We gonna get this hard work and dedication, bro. Hard work and dedication.
And like we always say, if you want to come up here and talk your shit, come up here. We like arguing about basketball. This is what we do. We've been doing this since we was 13, 14 years old. 14, 15 years old. We've been doing this. So we want people to come up here. We've been doing this 4 or 5 years now. You know, we want people to come up here. Another thing is, like I said, we going live at around 8:30. If you fuck with WWE, you know, we got a lot of subs. We got about 230, 240. We know at least a few of you guys like WWE. So if you like that,
and I made, you know what I'm saying, I'm fairly evenly passionate about, you know, the art of wrestling just as much as I am the art of basketball. I don't know about him, but
yeah, no,
you know,
me.
me for sure. Me for
Oh,
sure,
man.
I'm definitely passionate about the art of wrestling. So we gonna be talking some hot shit over there, man. You gonna see a different side of us over there.
And I feel we might be a little more consistent with the. I'm not gonna promise anything, but it's because of the fact that it's a little more knowledge, and we've been watching WWE a little longer than basketball, and because it's not too much, it's not really numbers into WWE as it is into basketball, in which we got to study and we have to go back. Because, you know, we grew up on WWE a little more. You know, we were kids. Everyone watched wrestling. So I'm not gonna promise you guys anything too much, but we will have the same amount of passion as we have for basketball into, you know, talking about wrestling, because we love both evenly. Just like Eli love his boxing and I love my baseball evenly. We split it through all things that we love.
Absolutely, man. Look, make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. If you want to support the channel, the Cash App is right there. All at Game It Takes, man. With that being said, I'm Eli.
And I'm Eddie. And we
are Game It Takes, man.
Game It Takes. I'm sorry, yeah.
We'll see y'all at 8, man.